What's up, fellow collectors? Seems like a bit of a sad day in the Halo community, especially for the action figure collectors, because it has been just announced from 343 Industries that Mattel, toy company Mattel, now has the master license to make all sorts of Halo products. A lot of people seem to be very upset about this. You know, I'm kind of indifferent to it. I'm going to share with you my opinion about the whole thing, and we can have some discussion in the comments, and let me know how you guys think about the whole situation. So recently, 343 said, hey, Mattel, you guys make some great products. If you guys didn't know, Mattel, they own Mega Bloks, and they also own the Boomco license, which is basically kind of like Nerf guns, but Halo style. They have like the Needler, they have like a spike rifle thing coming out, stuff like that. Pretty cool stuff. I might end up picking up some of it and, adding it into my channel somehow. Whatever, you never know. I'm just a Halo nerd. The cool thing about the master license is they can actually take from anything in the Halo universe and create a product out of it. That's something that I don't believe McFarlane had the ability to. I think McFarlane can only make products that 343 Industries allowed McFarlane to make. When a new game came out, they would make figures designated to that particular game or to the particular characters in that game. I would always love to see characters within the universe that we haven't really seen yet in an action figure form, like from the books, the comics, the novels, just stuff like that. Maybe the the animated stuff that they've done, and I think that would just be awesome because there's so many cool characters that we haven't even seen yet within the Halo universe, and I think McFarlane didn't really have the opportunity to make those characters, and now Mattel, since they have the master license, they do, and maybe we'll be able to see some really cool and unique characters that we haven't seen before. What's awesome about Mattel having this license is Mattel is a way bigger toy company than McFarlane Toys. They have a lot more leverage to get into store shelves. There's tons of Mattel products on store shelves all around toy stores. We're going to start seeing Halo taking up a lot of aisleway space, just like we see with Star Wars and Lego. I got a feeling because Halo is such a big brand, we can end up walking into a Target or a Toys R Us with Mattel backing this license now. We can see, shelves full of Halo stuff. You can walk through and see a bunch of action figures. You got the Mega Bloks stuff, you got the Boomco stuff. I'm sure eventually they'll probably even make some vehicles or something like that. So you're going to have all kinds of different products to choose from. Kind of like how you walk in and you see Star Wars. You got little tiny figures, you got vehicles, you got lightsabers, you got masks, and all kinds of crazy stuff. I got a feeling that we're going to start seeing the same thing with Halo, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be a Halo collector right now. Now, a lot of people seemed a little upset about the toyish look that Mattel has, and honestly, I still think that Mattel does a great job, and the figures, they still resemble the characters that we see within the Halo universe. To put it this way, I would rather have figures with less detail and more variety to choose from than just a few figures per series that are detailed, really, really well. You gotta think McFarlane, towards the later end of the Halo line, they were only producing 4 or 5 figures per series. And you can't really count exclusives because the exclusives were just repaints of the normal figures within the line. So it was kind of just a cheap way to sell the figure again, but just repaint it. It's really strange too because when the Halo line first came out, they were just banging out products, man. There was all kinds of Halo figures, all kinds of different armor sets, all kinds of Covenant enemies. They really got into the universe, and they were really coming out with some unique products. Especially with the Halo Reach line, we started getting vehicles, we started getting armor packs, weapons packs, all kinds of little upgrades and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, when Halo 4 came out, it all just kind of went away. The first couple of series for Halo 4, there was a lot of stuff, but then after that, man, it all just pretty much disappeared. And I think that's more of a sign of the Halo brand not being as strong as it was for the first couple of Halo games. You gotta think Halo 1, 2, and 3 are like the mainstays of Halo. When everyone talks about Halo, they talk about 1, 2, or 3. Always those 3 games come in conversation. And every time I talk to somebody about Halo 4 or Halo 5, I get all kinds of complaints, people saying that it's not Halo, it's totally different. And I think that affected a lot of the sales from McFarlane because people didn't want to buy these products that they couldn't relate to from this brand of Halo that was so really totally different than the characters that they were used to. I mean, you got to think of everything in the Halo game changed visually for us Halo fans. I mean, this is probably a topic for another video, but I'm going to briefly talk about it here because I think this has also affected McFarlane's choice to stop making Halo figures, because there's not as much of a hunger for it as there is today, because the brand's not as strong as it used to be. You know, you start creating figures and products based upon a game where people don't like the new renditions of characters, the new renditions of the armors. There's obviously not going to be as big of sales around those products based around those characters. You gotta think 343, every game they change the characters a little bit the way they look, and then they change them again the way they look, and then they change them again the way they look. And then you get to Halo 4, and a grunt from Halo 4 looks nothing like a grunt from like Halo 2 and Halo 3. And it's really upsetting because when you keep changing things with your brand, eventually people are no longer going to be able to identify with that brand anymore. People say it's not Halo, it's because Master Chief looks totally different than the Master Chief that we all grew up with as, you know, especially the old school Halo fans when we're, you know, in playing since Combat Evolved came out. You know, Master Chief looks totally different. All the characters look totally different. All the Halo armor looks totally different. The gameplay is totally different. You know, and that's what a lot of people say when it's not Halo, is it doesn't have that Halo vibe that we used to have back in the day. Now, what's also cool about this line is they're gonna have 6-inch scale products. You know, McFarlane was kind of weird. They had like a 5-inch scale, 5.5-inch scale. They didn't really fit in with like a 6-inch scale or like a 4-inch scale. It was just kind of like in between. So everything was kind of scaled out a little bit weird. And I really like having the 6-inch scale because it's gonna fit in really well with all my other figures. Most of my figures are in a 6-inch scale already. It's kind of like the standard for the stuff that I collect, at least. So it's going to be really cool having a Master Chief that's in scale with like my Mortal Kombat stuff, or, you know, if you collect Marvel stuff, you know, they're going to have a lot of similarities with the sizes, so that's pretty awesome. Plus, if they keep the scales correct between all the, you know, characters with the Spartans and the Covenant figures, it's going to look really cool because the Elites still probably be about 7 inches tall, Brutes will probably be about 8 inches tall, we'll probably get some Hunters, hopefully. You know, I got my fingers crossed that this line really does come through and they start pumping out a lot more figures. You know, a lot of people seemed upset about the figures being a little bit more toyish than usual. And honestly, guys, I would rather have more varieties of figures to choose from with a little bit less quality detail than I would the opposite. McFarlane, I mean, let's all be honest, McFarlane did a great job with detail. I mean, their detail is amazing. They make figures tailored specifically towards collectors, people who want to buy a figure, put it on a shelf, put it on display. That's the McFarlane way to go. But honestly, like, I like making animations and stop motions, and I have a feeling that Mattel is going to have better articulation. They're still going to have great sculpts, they're still going to have great detail, not as good as McFarlane's, but they're going to have probably better articulation and better quality of articulation than McFarlane did. McFarlane, the hips around the figure were so just terrible. You couldn't really maneuver the figure in a way to get it to where you can move smoothly in a stop motion animation. And I'm really hoping that the Mattel figures, you know, have really great articulation and really great quality of the articulation. You know, I hopefully we don't open these guys up and they got, you know, floppy joints going around everywhere. You know, I'm really, really excited to see what they have and at least give it a chance. It is a bummer though, because we've had the McFarlane toy, you know, action figure line for so long, ever since Halo 3 days, and it's finally come to an end. But you know, I think it's going to be a new beginning for collectors, and I got a feeling that Mattel is going to make a lot of figures and a lot of characters that we've been waiting to see. You know, I personally, I want to see more Covenant characters because I really love the Covenant kind of structure and the Covenant backstory of everything with Halo. That's my favorite part about the Halo universe. You know, I can't wait till we get out of this kind of Forerunner thing with Halo that they got going on, because I mean, the storyline doesn't really interest me as much. I mean, I got into Halo because it was like aliens versus humans, and it was just really epic, and there was this big storyline, and now it's like, I got all these robot guys running around, and you got to save the world from things that are going to blow up the universe and kill everyone, and it's just kind of, it's become far from what it was storyline wise. You know, that's why I just really love fighting against the Covenant. The Flood were cool too, even though they were a bitch to fight in the games. But, you know, at the end of the day, hopefully we see a plethora of characters. You know, I would love to see Hunters remade. I would love to see a redone version of the Arbiter, you know, in the Halo 4 style armor, or at least in a bigger scale compared to the Master Chief, because I didn't like the way McFarlane had their scale set up when we did have an Arbiter. It was really small. It was like as big as the Master Chief. And I'm also hoping that we see some vehicles. You know, the great thing about Mattel is because they're a bigger company, they'll be able to provide more stuff for us. They'll be able to provide vehicles. They'll be able to provide, you know, weapons packs and armor upgrades, and I got a feeling that they're going to be able to do a lot of stuff. We're going to be able to see the completion of a lot of teams that McFarlane never did. They never completed the ODST team. We're still missing Romeo. They never completed Blue Team or Fire Team Osiris. I would love to see him complete some of the Spartan, you know, teams that we've seen with Thorn and all of them. That would be awesome. I would love to see him come out with an Elite Honor Guard and the Prophets, which McFarlane just never made. I mean, the Elite Honor Guard is probably one of the coolest elites, and if they made him, it would be like one of the most sold-out, crazy elites ever, because everyone wants to buy a bunch of Elite Honor Guards. I mean, come on. So those are pretty much my thoughts, guys. Honestly, I'm pretty excited about this change, and I got a feeling that, you know, people are going to have to get used to it at first. A lot of people just don't like change, but I think it's a change that needed to happen. I mean, McFarlane pretty much barely makes any Halo figures now, and the ones that they do, they're just repaints of the same ones that they've made. Nothing innovative, and you can tell that they don't have the passion to make figures the way that they once did for the Halo line. You know, it could be because people aren't buying them, or it could be because they just, you know, they're focusing on the Walking Dead. I know their Walking Dead line is just like crazy right now. They got Walking Dead stuff everywhere, which is good for them, you know. Walking Dead's cool. I like Walking Dead too. I got Walking Dead reviews on my channel. Let me guys know what you think down in the comment section. You know, are you excited for this new line? Are you bummed? Did you cry? Maybe let me know what figures you would like for them to make. I mean, what figures would you guys like to see if the Halo line was completely redone? And let me know down in the comment section. I want to hear what you guys have to say.